Hey everyone, it's your Uncle Ken. Come on in, join me. Don't push, don't shove. There's plenty of room for everybody. Join me for a little bit. We got a fun video today. I want to talk to you guys about some stuff. Before we get into it though, just so if you're interested in the background, I'm listening to De Flores from Czechoslovakia and their 11 Murders CD, Leviathan Records back in 1998. Cool stuff. Death grind, as you can hear in the background. Check that out. Kind of fits the video for today. And I'll be honest with you about why I decided to record this video. And I know I promised you the next episode of Into the Crypt, we're going to finish our spotlight on Drowner Productions, the 93, 94 releases. I promise it's coming, don't worry. But this is kind of more of a fun video. And there was a couple things that prompted me to do this video. One of the first things was a few weeks back, I posted a demo of a band called Carrion from Slovenia. And it was their Obeisance to Vanity, I think, demo from 1995-96. My good buddy, Big Daddy Gore, you guys know Big Daddy Gore from Seep and the band Seep and the label Gurgling Gore Records. He commented on video and said, man, I've been in a big Slovenian, Slovakian, Czechoslovakian death metal kick lately. I don't know what it is about that area of death metal from the 90s, but been on a totally huge kick with that lately. And man, I get it. I got Big Daddy Gore to the T, because there are times where I can't get enough of this Eastern European death grind. Another big thing that prompted me to do this video was a few weeks ago, I'm down here in the Crypt on a Friday night with beer in hand, of course, listening to some music as I typically do on a Friday night. You know, after a long week of work, that's a good way to unwind as far as I'm concerned. So my son happened to be home. Which is unusual, because typically he's out with friends on Friday nights. He too goes to work all week and school, and he's still in high school and he works a part-time job. So Friday nights he doesn't have to work and he goes out with friends usually. Well, he was home that night, and as I was listening to some music down here, I had a few things that I was already in the middle of listening to and had spread out and whatnot. He comes into the Crypt here and, so, what you doing, Dad? I saw just listening to some music. And he says, what are you listening to? So he's looking at some of the CD and 7-inch cassette covers, and he's admiring some of the artwork on it. He says, well, where are these bands from? Where's this band from? Where's that band from? He asks about 3 or 4 of the bands, where they're from. And as I start to mention where they're from, I realized, without really knowing that I was doing it, that every single one of those bands was from an Eastern European country. And I said, that's it. I'm really into this style of death metal. So that prompted me those two things. So thanks, Big Daddy Gore. Thanks, Anthony, and to my son for inspiring me to do this video. And I want to share some stuff with you guys. So you guys go down those rabbit holes and start checking stuff yourself with these bands and music and labels and all that good stuff. Trust me, I will not lead you astray. But what we're going to do is I'm going to start to the northern part of this little map that I drew. If you guys are looking at the thumbnail that I made, the very archaic thumbnail, by the way, and we're going to start in the country of Belarus. And the first band I'm going to show you is this band, and this is called Bleeding. They are called Bleeding, and they were a 3-piece, and this is their Carnal Altars demo from 1998. And it is band released. I'll show you the cover there. The CD, just a burp. The cassette, just a blank cassette. But now Bleeding, again, Carnal Altars demo 1998. This band was lumped, even when I purchased this demo, and I remember getting this demo in early 2000, 2001. I remember being in contact with a record label out of Russia that was called Blacksmith Productions. And literally, somehow I got a catalog. Now, this is before the internet was huge and everybody had stuff online, things. That's not how I got it. I remember getting a catalog somehow, some way from the label, and their prices were just outrageously low. Literally, we're selling demo tapes for just a couple bucks. And when I saw this demo tape, and it said brutal death metal from Belarus, probably to that point in time, I hadn't had a lot or any death metal in Belarus. As a matter of fact, as I started checking through for things to make this video, I did notice that I had several black metal bands, CDs or cassettes from Belarus, but this is probably the only death metal band cassette even of death metal from Belarus that I have, so that's why I wanted to show this. But although this was lumped to the brutal death metal arena, and I even recall in the catalog it said brutal death metal, I'm kind of putting this more in the Cannibal Corpse style of death metal. Maybe not in terms of mix and production, because this is probably a little bit more of a primitive mix in production, but it does have that certain flair in their technicality and in the chemical makeup of the songs, and in that gory, vibe that they carry. That does remind me a bit of Cannibal Corpse. Definitely a brutal death metal vocal, most certainly. Lends it to the gory side of life for sure because of that brutal death metal vocal, but keeping a pretty fast-paced tempo throughout. Maybe not grind, but a fast tempo always with this. But was really cool stuff from Belarus, and I'm trying to now locate. They did an EP in 2000 on a cassette called Donors that I'm trying to locate and get myself a copy because I don't have a copy of that, so I'm going to try and get that. But anyways, check out this little snippet that I got for you, prepared for you, of Bleeding from their Carnal Altars demo 1998. Check it out. Hey, what'd you guys think of that little snippet, right? Did you hear that gory death metal vibe? You know, not so much brutal death grind or anything like that. It was more just straight up death metal with that gory element. Always liked that demo. Good stuff. Check that out, man. All right, guys, we're going to go just south of Belarus to a bordering country, to the land of Lithuania, and talk about this band. And this is GARROTTE. And GARROTTE was a 4-piece from Lithuania, and this is their Mortuary demo 1995, band released. Now, it was band released originally. This is the Wild Rag Records. Was licensed. They gave licensing to Wild Rags to make this demo, so very cool stuff. The original there was an original released by the band before this copy, so can't really remember where I got this or when. I don't think I got it during 95. It was probably a little bit later, maybe later 90s, early 2000, I think, maybe a couple of years later after this was released, I think is when I got it. But with this band, you get heavy guitars in the mix with very melodic riffing at times. A very John Tardy vocal. I think that's probably what set me off with this band, about hearing about this band. And the reason I knew what this band sounded like is because I did have it on a tape trader tape that I got from someone. I think from somebody out of England. I was looking at where that was, but I think it was somebody that I used to tape trade with from England put this on a cassette for me, and right away I got a John Tardy vocal out of this. It's very John Tardy-ish. Really gives it a nice punch. But this band was one and done. This is the only demo this band ever did. And again, you don't hear the country Lithuania mentioned very often when you're speaking in terms of death metal. Even today, or even of yesteryear, you don't hear that country mentioned a lot. And this is probably one of the more unsung heroes of the genre and the country of early, mid-90s death metal was GARROTTE and this Mortuary demo. But I prepared a little snippet for you. Check it out right here. This is GARROTTE again, something off their Mortuary demo from 1995. Give it a listen. All right, what'd you guys think of that? Did you hear that John Tardy vocal style for sure that I was talking about? A little melody in there too. I really always like that demo too. Again, coming from a country that's not typically mentioned in terms of death metal. I'm not saying there's no death metal bands today from Lithuania or anything like that, but you don't typically hear, the country of Lithuania mentioned when you're speaking in terms of death metal, especially from the late to mid 90s. But there you go, guys. So again, let's go down these rabbit holes. All right, let's go check this stuff out. All right, guys, we're gonna bypass Poland. Don't worry, we're gonna come back to Poland. We're gonna bypass Poland just a hair, and we're gonna go down to another country in the Eastern European area, and this out of Czechoslovakia. So let's stop off in Czechoslovakia and check out a couple bands there. Okay, the first band I want to introduce you to, if you're not familiar, is this band, and this is Agony Conscience. And this is their Mass Demented EP 1995. And this was on, I forget who it was on, MI Records. MI Records put this out, guys. Let me show you the 7-inch variable there, red vinyl, very cool, right? And what do you get with Agony Conscious? Now, just brutal death grind. This was the epitome of, the 90s Czechoslovakian death grind. I think now they call it Czechia, so we'll say that. Czechia death grind. It just, it's got everything there. Those kind of twangy guitars. That guitar is like so mincing. The ripping goes so fast, those guitars. But you got that brutal death metal vocal. The bass is down tuned and heavy. Bass is probably heavier than the guitars are. The guitars have more of a kind of a twanging speed, razor sharp, fast, hyper speed kind of grind to it. And then, of course, you get the drumming behind it. But very cool stuff. The epitome of what gory European death grind was at that time. Excellent stuff. I always enjoyed this band. They have some other releases out. I think I have a demo by them, but this is I think that this is the only vinyl I had by them. But check this out. I took a snippet off this 7-inch. Check a song out from Agony Conscious Mass Demented EP from 1995. Check this out real quick. Hey, what'd you guys think of that little nugget, huh? You hear that brutal, the gore, you hear that twangy kind of guitar, razor sharp, super fast, right? With that brutal death metal style, or brutal death metal vocal, just pure European death grind. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we like here in the Crypt, and there are times I just can't get enough of this stuff, guys. So stuff like that, that's what I go for. That's what I reach for. I probably played that 7-inch a million times down here. But anyways, good stuff. Go check that out. All right, we're going to talk about another band from Czechia, from Czechia. And this band I want to show you is this. And they are called Garbage Disposal. And this is their Absolute Combustion Transformed the Fear. Yep, that's the title. Absolute Combustion Transformed the Fear, EP 1996 on Perverted Taste Records. Perverted Taste, I have a ton of Perverted Taste releases. They did a lot of brutal death metal, death grind, stuff like that, that you guys can find a lot of these things for very, very, very affordable prices, which we'll talk about at the end of this video. But Garbage Disposal, what you get with these guys if you're not familiar, balls out brutal death grind and gore. Drum machine infused, just infused with brutal gore. Probably not as heavy as like Mortician per se with that, with the infusion of the drum machine, but brutal death grind from Czechoslovakia. It's brutal, it's grinding, it's gory, it's got a deep, brutal vocal, it's down-tuned, it's heavy. If you like that sort of thing, guys, you are most certainly gonna love Garbage Disposal. They went on to do, there was a demo before this called Mind Detonated. I think I did upload to the channel. I have a couple of CDs by this band as well. I think there was one called Union Carbine, and then the next one was Reunion Carbide or something like that. But always enjoyed this band. Check out that snippet. I prepared for you guys to check this out. You are going to love some brutal gore grind here. Check it out. Garbage Disposal delivering the goods there, right? You hear that brutal, gory death grind, super heavy with that drum-infused brutal gore. If you like that style, guys, go check out their stuff. You're definitely going to want to check it out. They get better, trust me. So, all right, guys, we're going to leave the land of Czechia, and we're going to head just south to the neighboring country of Slovakia. And from Slovakia, I discovered this band. And this is Surgical Dissection. And this is their dehumanized demo from 1997. Let me show you the cassette there. And I remember getting this, there's nothing on the back there, by the way, but I remember getting this demo when I was at a metal fest back in the late 90s, maybe 98, 99. I remember seeing this at a vendor's table with a bunch of other cassettes. and I think they had like a $2 or $3 tag on this demo. And I got it because it was a couple bucks. I figured, why not? I'll try it. It looks cool. Give it a shot. Get it home. Put it in the old tape player. And loved it. And have gotten many of their releases ever since, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But anyways, what do you get with this particular demo? A warm but heavy mix and production on this. Nice and heavy, thick guitar tone. I always liked the guitar tone was nice and thick on this. It sounded really thick. Groove-laden passages with a bit of a thrash bite. There are times you kind of hear a thrash root in there. But when they get in the grind, it's hyper-speed death grind. They really grind it out in this, and it just gets hyper-speed death grind. Very Euro-esque, especially when they're in that grind. You can hear, man, this is Eastern European. They all kind of have this vibe to it when they're, like it's not from somewhere in North America or South America. You know it's from Eastern Europe when they get in this style and vibe of grind. I don't know how to explain it, but I think you can. That there's a sound you can hear with it, right? But very excellent demo. A nice brutal death metal growl, by the way. Always liked this band ever since this. Like I said, they got several releases after this, albums after this was their demo. Now, this was the only demo they did. Then they went to about 3 or 4 albums before they became defunct. But yeah, good stuff. But I prepared a snippet of it. Go check this out. Little snippet from Surgical Dissection and their Dehumanized demo 1997. Listen to this. Surgical Dissection. What do you guys think? Brutal hyper death grind, right? We're gonna talk a little bit more about them at the end of this video, because we'll come back. Anyways, all right, we're gonna leave. Oh no, we're gonna stay in Slovakia. We're gonna stay in Slovakia for just one more band. And the band I want to show you, the last band I want to show you from Slovakia is this band, and this is MORDUM. And this is their Systems demo from 1995. That was band release. Let me show you the cassette version there. There you go. Very cool, right? All right. And what do you get with MORDUM? Now, a cool thing about this one, and I should have mentioned this, that every band that I've showed you so far up to this band is defunct. With the exception of MORDUM. MORDUM is still going today. I believe they've been on hiatus for many years, but they're back. And I believe they're recording new material, so that's very cool to see. Always glad to see a band that put an imprint on early 90s death metal still making their way today. But this is decent production and mix on this. This is a really good sounding demo for 1995. Thrash-rooted death metal, definitely has a thrash root with a very technical flair to it. For 95, this was probably pretty technical. It was probably considered very technical at the time. It's got super catchy riffing, headbanging riffage with that thrash root. Excellent raspy death metal approach. Got that raspy death metal, not the brutal, but it's more raspy death thrash vocal to it. Mystical guitar solos, and even adds a little atmosphere to it as well. They even get a little atmospheric on some of their songs on this demo. So that's what made it very unique. It was it was technical, it was mystical, it was atmospheric, and it just created a really cool demo for this band. But check out this little snippet I prepared for you from MORDUM and their Systems demo 1995. Check it out. How'd you like that raspy vocal in that track, right? I love that raspy vocal from MORDUM. You hear that technicality. Excellent band. They're still going today. Go check those guys out, man. All right, we are going to leave the country of Slovakia and just go south to the bordering country of Slovenia, and that's where you'll find this band, and this is Extreme Smoke. And this is their Open Your Eye and Die demo 1992. Now, this is the Wild Rags version of this demo. I believe this demo was released by the band, and then it was licensed to Wild Rag Records. Now, what do you get with Extreme Smoke and their Open Your Eye and Die demo from 1992? From the get-go, pure European death grind. It's really grindy. An echoed vocal, death metal vocal growl with grinding blast beats from the drums, chainsaw sounding, speed picking guitars. Throw in a little crush for good measure, and you get a cloud of extreme smoke. That's what you get. Yeah, it's got it all there. Complete grind. It's got that distortion to it, a little bit of that crust edge. Those really that the guitar tone is like a chainsaw, and then you get the brutal death metal vocal, and yeah, it is the epitome of Eastern European death grind. Check out this little snippet from Extreme Smoke and their demo from 1992. Open your eye and die. Check it out. What I tell you, complete Euro death grind. Just grind, right? You hear those guitars, that chainsaw guitar, the brutal vocal, speed blasting, Euro death grind. Awesome stuff. All right, guys, we're going to leave Slovenia and we're going to head around the corner just a bit to the country of Hungary, where we discover the band Intense Agonizing, and this is their Soul Locked in Flesh demo, 1992. Now, this is the Wild Rags Records version. Again, Wild Rags got licensed. I do believe that the original demo by the band was a black and white cover, and then the Wild Rags version is the color version. And I believe I got this demo the same time I got that Surgical Dissection demo. I think, again, maybe Wild Rags had a table. Maybe that's what it was. I'm not sure. But I think I did get this at the same time. Again, it probably had a very good price tag of $2 to $3, a couple of bucks on it. So I saw the cover and said, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And boy, I'm glad I did. Because this is gory, down-tuned Euro death grind. It's gory, it's down-tuned, it's grinding, production and mix carry dirt and distortion, but it sits well with with the gory, grinding approach of the band. Has a lot of hardcore edge, though. As you listen to this, you can hear kind of an angry, hardcore-ish kind of vibe coming out of those guitars and out of the chemical makeup of the band, for sure. At times, maybe not in every song, but at times you kind of hear that. But just pure, good old-fashioned, down-tuned, low-end production, gory death grind from Europe. Excellent stuff. Always like this band. Go check out a snippet from this that I prepared for you from, once again, Intense Agonizing and their Soul Locked in Flesh demo. Go check this out. What I tell you, good old-fashioned European, Eastern European, brutal, gory death grind, right? Just like I described it to you. Told you I wouldn't lead you astray. But you guys might remember that I did post that demo. It was later put on a 7-inch split with Necrobiosis out of Poland that I did upload to the channel. So you guys can go check out the whole demo there if you want. They put it out on 7-inch. Good for us, right? All right, guys, we're going to head back a little bit to the land of Poland. And I'll be honest with you guys, I could have probably made a video just on the Polish death metal I have here in the Crypt. Not just on demo and cassette, but all over. Poland probably had in my opinion, one of the most evil guitar sounds of the 90s. You know, every country kind of has a sound, right? You know, Finland, Sweden, Scandinavia, they kind of have, each country in Scandinavia kind of has its own sound, its own vibe. I always thought Poland had one of the most evil guitar, you know, maybe not the heaviest, but one of the most evil death metal guitar tones ever was what came out of Poland. And I have so much Polish death metal, it's not even funny. I could have probably done a video just on that, but we'll keep to Eastern European death metal. How about that? All right. And one of the bands I want to show you from Poland is this band, and this is Gutted Corpse, and this is their Human Remains demo, 1993. And there's the backside. Let me show you the very cool cassette version. There you go. Now, this was on Loud Out Records. It was a record label called Loud Out Records, released this demo, and this is the original demo release. Thick, chugging and primitive brutal death metal from 1993. That's what this is. That's what Gutted Corpse gives you. They do offer a bit of grind in the mix at times on this demo, but it's mostly mid-paced brutal death metal with a very deep death metal guttural growl to it, and it just plays well into the brutal death metal gory arena of death metal at the time in 1993. Again, you know, probably not a band that you would hear mentioned in the brutal death metal arena, but you know, in 1993, brutal death metal did exist, and it was coming out of some parts of Eastern Europe, like Poland and Gutted Corpse. And if you don't believe me, listen to this snippet that I prepared for you from Gutted Corpse and their Human Remains demo from 1993. Check this out. Brutal, gory death metal, right? Just like I described. Yeah, 1993, brutal death metal was around, and it was coming from bands like Gutted Corpse. So go check that stuff out, guys. You know, you like that brutal death metal, there's a place you want to be. All right, the last band I want to show you, and again, they're from Poland, and the last demo I'm going to show you is this, and this is the band INCEST, and this is their Moriar demo from 1992, and this was on Carnage Records. I'll show you the back of it. Let me show you the very cool cassette, very cool. And what do you get with INCEST in their Moriar demo? Now, this is pure death metal with a very brutal, gory edge to it. Nice, brutal death metal vocal. Can get a bit grindy in the parts. The vocal's probably more heavier than the music is, for sure. But it's mostly mid-paced death metal is what I'm going to call it, with a very brutal death metal vocal. Some pretty good guitar solos in this too. I really like the guitar solos. But once again, you'll hear, even though it's brutal, even though it's heavy, you're going to hear something about the guitar tone, like you probably hear with the Gutted Corpse. This very evil guitar tone. They just had this evil kind of vibe to their guitar tone. See if you can hear what I'm hearing with this. But here's a quick snippet of INCEST in their Moriar demo from 1992. Check this out. How'd you like that? Some more brutal death metal, right? Just excellent stuff from Poland, guys. There is so much of this stuff. Again, go down these rabbit holes. If you're going to start searching, I will leave links to all these wonderful bands below this video. Go check this stuff out. Check out these bands. You know, anything that's recommended, all you got to do is click on it. If you don't like it, click away from it. But I'm telling you, you can go spend hours down a rabbit hole of Eastern European death metal for sure. You know, some other bands I want to mention is like Cerebral Turbulence, As Gravy, Czechoslovakian Death Grind. This came out, I think, 99, 98, 99. I already showed you what we're listening to in the background, the Florists and their 11 Murders. And I talked to you guys about Surgical Dissection. This is one of their albums from 2003 that I have on CD. I have 2 or 3 of their CDs. But this is one of them called Absurd Humanism. You guys, this is excellent death grind. Excellent. Just wonderful death metal. And, you know, I checked all these CDs and some of these cassettes. I checked the pricing for them. It's extremely affordable. Guys, remember, for it to be good from the 90s, early 2000s, it doesn't have to have a $40 or a $50 or a $60 price tag on the cassette or the CD. Good is good. And it doesn't matter if it's a few bucks. I think I saw this CD for under $10. But if you want something really good, guys, I won't lead you astray. Go check it out. Go check out the videos on YouTube, right? And if you like it, go buy it, man. It's affordable and it's good stuff, and you can own it just like your Uncle Ken. And that's it for this video. I told you it was just a fun video. Again, links to all these cool bands are below this video. And I appreciate you guys spending time with me once again. And just a couple quick notes. I did get an email from somebody that said, hey, Uncle Ken, are you going to have a party for when you reach 20,000 subscribers? And my God, I didn't know we were there. You guys are wonderful. That's all I can say about that. If I could grab you by the face, I'd kiss you all. But yeah, I guess we're getting close to that. So once we're there, yeah, we'll do a giveaway or something. I'll pull something out of the crypt to send to you. How about that? How about we just pull something out and I'm going to send something to somebody once we get to that marker. Again, I do appreciate it, guys. And that's it. But that's all we wanted to say. I just wanted to send you, I just want to upload this fun video and show you guys some of this Eastern European death metal that we have here. This is just but a taste of what we have here in the crypt and what's available for you out there in the death metal world. But thank you once again for taking this trip with me, not just on memory lane, but into the crypt. Until next time, this is your Uncle Ken in the Death Metal Crypt. Be good and keep the flame of old school death metal as bright as you can. We'll see you guys all again real soon. Take care.